All right, another news story, dipping into the news again. This is something that I want to make clear. There are all kinds of crazy people out there who get triggered for all kinds of crazy reasons, and, it would be wrong to generalize about any particular group of people or any particular faction, political or otherwise, based on something crazy that one person does. But I do think undeniably, people have lost their shit. A lot of people have lost their shit over, this election. And this is a story about, I think what makes this story worth discussing is we're not just talking about some marginal figure. We're not just talking about someone who is like on the margins of society, in and out of asylums, wandering around homeless, like the kind of typical profile, maybe stereotypical, but still, when you think about a person who is crazy, this woman who did this, who evidently, allegedly committed this awful act, that you can see discussed in this headline, was is a high-ranking, seemingly intelligent person, high in the hierarchy, and the person that she's married to wrote a best-selling book and is also renowned, a person of some renown. I'm just going to say person for reasons that will be clear in a minute. I don't find the person or the book that was written by that person to be renowned. It's not renowned by me, but it's renowned by many. So, triggered by Donald Trump's victory, Seattle woman brutally kills father with ice axe on election night. All right, cop said 33-year-old Corey Book was found clapping and smiling, covered in her father's blood. Was that the first? Is that the way they opened that story? That's kind of a weird opening sentence. So there she is, Corey Burke, 33-year-old, found clapping and smiling, covered in her father's blood. She murdered her father, allegedly, because she was upset about election night. All right. So here's where we find out some things about this person, Corey Burke. I heard elsewhere she's referred to as a power feminist. I think that's the term that she used to describe herself. Anyway, here are just the facts, ma'am. A space rocket program manager brutally killed her father with an ice axe on election night after a breakdown following Donald Trump's victory. Cops said, I don't say police. Sorry, that's just a little too informal for a news story. Police said 33-year-old Corey Burke was found clapping and smiling, covered in her father's blood, according to the New York Post. So this woman works in a space rocket program. She's a space rocket program manager. Let's find out some more. Burke reportedly considered the attack, quote, an act of liberation, according to charging documents. She has been accused of strangling, biting, and hacking her father, 67, to death in their $800,000 Seattle home. Okay, so you see, living in an expensive home in Seattle, which is an expensive place to live. As I understand, it's more and more of a shithole these days, but it's still a very expensive place to live, and it's where a lot of the tech people live, of course. Okay, and here's some more about Corey Burke, this woman who murdered her husband in such an aggravated, horrific manner on election night. According to Burke's LinkedIn, she is a training program manager at Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' spacecraft company. She's married. Okay, more about her. She's married to prominent transgender writer Samantha Lee Allen, author of the acclaimed, see, author of the acclaimed book Real Queer America, LGBT Stories from Red States, as well as an editor of At Them, a Condé Nast transgender news publication. Condé Nast is like a moneyed, slick-paged, hoity-toity travel journal. That they have their own publication for dedicated to transgender stuff is just, it's par for the course. It's like corporate. This is the way corporate America. This is what corporate America. This is the wokeifying of corporate America. Why would it be in their interest to have a publication like that? Except to virtue signal, obviously, and to get that BlackRock, to get ESG points or whatever. There's just not a lot of like, if you're writing for a travel magazine, what percentage of your readership are transgender people? Honestly, probably less than 1%, probably less than 0.1% is what I'm going to guess. Anyway, back to the story. So now we know this person, Corey Burke, this woman who allegedly killed her father in such a terrible manner, is wealthy and successful, and is in rocket science, and works for Jeff Bezos' spacecraft company, and she's married to what I'm guessing is this guy who's now calling himself Samantha Lee Allen. So she calls herself a lesbian, but she's married to a man who now believes himself to be a woman. Does that really make you a lesbian? I don't know. I won't dwell on that point for now. I'll just leave it. I'll let it linger out there. So Burke, that's the murderess, the alleged murderess. Burke told police that the murder was meant, quote, to help people change their attachment to their parents, and, quote, had to happen today. So, this is her afterwards talking about it, rationalizing it. And when they found her, she was covered in blood and laughing and clapping. So yes, she sounds like she lost her mind. Killed her father in their expensive Seattle home and lost her mind. Just was acting crazy. But then later, saying this is meant to help people change their attachment to their parents and had to happen today. Burke had been upset about the election. And knew Trump would win. Already agitated Burke reportedly snapped when her dad, again, father. I'm not telling you guys how to do journalism, but you don't use words like cops and dad. Say father, police and father. It's a formal protocol here for these news stories. Anyway, when her father, Timothy Burke, refused to switch the lights off. Whew. So that was it. That was what set her off. She wanted the lights off. Her father said no, or just maybe wasn't quick enough about turning them off, and then she attacked him with an ice pick or an ice axe. An ice axe, which I'm guessing is like an ice pick. By the way, that brings to mind a couple things. It brings to mind, first of all, Basic Instinct. Remember that movie, Sharon Stone's character, who was also bisexual, murdered people with an axe, an ice pick. There's that final shot of an ice pick under her bed. Also, okay, I guess that's all they have of the story. It doesn't look like there's any more of it than that. But what they have already is pretty good as far as details, even if, I have my problems with the violations of standard journalistic procedure when writing a news story. So Sharon Stone's character in Basic Instinct murdered her victims with an ice pick. Also, Joseph Stalin hired an assassin to go down to Mexico and infiltrate Trotsky's inner circle. That's where Trotsky was out in Stalin's rival that he'd driven into exile. He was in Mexico at the time, and he ended up befriending people in Trotsky's inner circle, and then when he got Trotsky alone, attacked him with an ice pick. So that was an ice pick. This is an ice axe. I've looked at pictures of both of them, both ice picks and ice axes. There's a similarity between the two of them. Anyway, that's the gal who did it. And again, we're not talking about a marginal person. We're talking about somebody who must be of high intelligence, who is highly successful, who's in the higher rungs of the hierarchy of our society, and these are the kinds of people who are just losing their shit and doing stuff like this, murdering their fathers in order to create a needed detachment from one's parents. Very dark, very, very dark.